Have you ever felt like someone is draining every ounce of your energy, dragging you into their endless chaos? You know the type. The person whose every text is a complaint, every conversation is a crisis, and every interaction feels like an emotional endurance test. Sound familiar? Don't worry, you're not alone. We live in a world where manipulation and control seem to have become some people's life skills. But here's the good news. There's a better way to handle them, like a true Stoic warrior. In this video, we'll dive into 13 clever ways to deal with toxic people, drawing from the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. This isn't about putting up with or grinning and bearing it. This is about reclaiming your control, protecting your peace, and becoming emotionally untouchable. Whether it's a friend, a co-worker, or even a family member, you'll learn how to stand your ground and rise above their toxic tactics. Ready to stop feeling like their emotional punching bag and start mastering your own serenity? Let's get started. Number 1, identify toxic behavior. Toxic behavior isn't always loud and obvious. In fact, it often hides in plain sight, wrapped in sarcasm, disguised as concern, or served with a hefty side of guilt. Let's be real. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone made you feel like nothing you do is ever good enough? Maybe it's a friend who constantly critiques your choices, a partner who questions your every move, or a family member who always seems to play the victim. And suddenly, you realize you're the one apologizing yet again without even knowing what for. Sound familiar? Congratulations, you've encountered classic manipulation, the hallmark of toxic behavior. Toxic people are like emotional parasites. They drain your energy bit by bit until one day you wake up feeling completely exhausted and doubting yourself. The worst part? They're experts at delivering subtle jabs, comments that seem harmless but slowly chip away at your confidence. They might say, "Oh, I was just joking. Why are you so sensitive?" Or, "Well, I guess you think you're better than everyone else." Don't be fooled. These remarks are carefully designed to make you question your worth and second-guess your instincts. What's more unsettling is that toxic individuals love to play the victim. They twist situations to make you feel guilty for simply standing up for yourself. How many times have you heard things like, "I can't believe you would do this to me after everything I've done for you"? This isn't a misunderstanding or an overreaction. This is deliberate emotional manipulation, crafted to break down your defenses and keep you feeling small. The first step to breaking free is recognizing these behaviors for what they are. Emotional abuse isn't just a bad day or a minor disagreement. It's a calculated effort to control and undermine you. Once you see through the mask they're wearing, you can start taking steps to protect yourself. Here's a golden rule to remember. If you constantly find yourself explaining or justifying someone's behavior, whether to others or to yourself, it's a major red flag. Healthy relationships don't require you to excuse or rationalize mistreatment. Toxic ones do. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Identifying toxic behavior isn't about blaming or pointing fingers. It's about reclaiming your peace and building boundaries that protect you. Life's too short to waste your energy on people who make you doubt yourself. Listen to your intuition. Spot the red flags. And remember, you deserve relationships that lift you up, not ones that tear you down. Number 2, understand it's not personal. Here's a surprising truth. Toxic people's behavior is never really about you. It's always about them. It sounds simple, right? But think about it. How many times have you internalized their words or actions, questioning whether you were the problem? They make you feel like everything is your fault, but the reality is their behavior has nothing to do with you. It's a reflection of their inner chaos, insecurities, and inability to take responsibility for their own actions. Picture this. You have a co-worker who always gets upset whenever you excel at your tasks. One day they complain that your efficiency makes them feel inadequate. The truth: maybe they had a bad day with their boss, or they're dissatisfied with their own role. Instead of addressing their issues, they channel that negativity toward you. Suddenly, you're the target, as if your hard work is some sort of crime. But in reality, they're just looking for someone to blame for their feelings of inadequacy. This is where Stoicism becomes a game changer. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we can't control others' actions, we can only control our reactions. Toxic people thrive on eliciting emotional responses because that's how they maintain control. But once you realize their behavior isn't about you, you can step back and reclaim your peace of mind. You can let go of guilt, self-doubt, and the compulsion to fix them, because here's the truth: you can't fix them. What you can do is protect yourself. Remember, you're not their therapist, emotional punching bag, or scapegoat. Their issues are their responsibility, not yours. When they try to drag you into their emotional mess, remind yourself, this isn't about me. You don't have to carry the weight of their problems or take on the blame they try to heap onto you. So the next time you're faced with toxic behavior, pause and remember, it's not about you. It's about their refusal to confront their own struggles. Hold your boundaries, safeguard your peace, and don't let their issues become your burden. You have the right to step back, reclaim your energy, and focus on what truly matters: your well-being. Number 3, set clear boundaries. All right, let's talk about boundaries, the superhero cape that protects your emotional well-being. But let's be clear, I'm not talking about flimsy, vague, easily broken boundaries that crumble at the first sign of conflict. I'm talking about solid, non-negotiable lines that protect your peace like a fortress. Why? Because toxic people hate boundaries. They despise them with the fiery passion of a cat being forced into a bath. Why? Because boundaries limit their control over you. Here's a little secret. Toxic people are always testing you, constantly. They want to see how far they can push before you push back, or don't. It starts small. Maybe they interrupt your work with endless texts or calls, demanding your attention at the worst times. Maybe they accidentally make you feel guilty for not dropping everything to cater to their needs. Over time, this behavior escalates, and before you know it, you're sacrificing your time, energy, and even mental health just to keep them happy. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone your energy. Your time and mental well-being are priceless, and protecting them isn't selfish. It's essential. And setting boundaries? That's your ultimate defensive weapon. The first step? Learn to say no without guilt. No lengthy explanations, no justifications, just no. Toxic people are masters at dragging you into endless debates about why you can't or won't do something. Don't fall into that trap. You don't owe them a 5-paragraph essay explaining your decisions. The next time they try to overstep your boundaries, calmly but firmly say, "I can't do that," or "I'm not available at that time." And stop there. No arguments. End the conversation. Take Jamie, for example, a friend who had a knack for turning everything into her problem. She would often call during work hours with a quick question that somehow always turned into a 45-minute monologue about her issues. Eventually I said, "I can't talk right now, I'll call you back later." She reacted as if I had just cancelled our friendship. At first I felt guilty, but the more I stood firm, the more I realized she started respecting my time, or at least stopped calling at inappropriate times. Toxic people will either adapt to your boundaries or, more often, move on to find an easier target. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're guidelines that show others how to treat you with respect. Toxic individuals will resist, guilt-trip you, and even get angry. But your peace is worth more than their approval. The clearer and more assertive you are, the sooner they'll realize they can't manipulate you. And once they understand you're serious, they'll either adjust their behavior or find someone else to bother. Setting boundaries doesn't make you harsh, it makes you strong. Remember, saying no doesn't need to come with guilt or a long-winded explanation. It just requires confidence in your worth and a commitment to your mental health. Because ultimately, boundaries don't just protect you. They teach others how to value and respect you. And that's exactly the kind of energy you want in your life. Number 4, master the art of non-reaction. All right, here's where you take back serious control. Mastering the art of non-reaction. Have you noticed how toxic people are like directors of their own drama series? They thrive on chaos. Every time you get angry, frustrated, or upset, you're unwittingly playing the lead role in their show. But here's the good news. You can stop the production right here, right now. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we can't control other people's actions, we absolutely have control over how we respond. Picture this. You're in the middle of an argument with a toxic individual. They're hurling accusations, insults, and blame your way, all in an attempt to provoke you. But instead of taking the bait and firing back, imagine staying completely calm, just refusing to engage. Sounds crazy, right? But trust me, it's one of the most powerful moves you can make. When you stop reacting to their nonsense, you strip away their power. They can't control you if you refuse to play their game. Here's the thing, not reacting is like building an emotional shield around yourself. The more you practice, the less their words and actions will affect you. Think of yourself as a still lake, and them as a storm trying to stir up waves. If you don't let the storm in, the lake remains peaceful. Once, I tried this with a colleague who was always trying to stir up trouble. In a meeting, he kept interrupting me and undermining my ideas. Instead of snapping back, I smiled and calmly said, "I hear you. Thanks for your input." Guess what? No more drama, just confusion on his part. But let's be clear. Non-reaction doesn't mean you're passively tolerating bad behavior. It's about staying in control. When someone tries to provoke you, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself that you don't need to engage in their emotional battle. If necessary, respond with something neutral like, "I'll think about that," and then walk away. Most importantly, remember, you don't owe them an emotional reaction, and you certainly don't owe them your peace of mind. Non-reaction isn't weakness, it's strength. It shows that you're in control of yourself and won't let anyone dictate how you feel. Start small, practice consistently, and soon you'll realize their tactics no longer hold any power over you. When that happens, you're not just reclaiming control, you're reclaiming your emotional freedom. Number 5, use the grey rock method. Imagine you're facing someone toxic, someone who thrives on drama and craves attention. They're like a relentless fire, always looking for something to fuel their flames. And that fuel? It's your reaction. But this time, you're not falling into their trap. Instead, you're using one of the most effective tactics to deal with them, the grey rock method. This strategy is simple yet incredibly powerful. You make yourself as boring as possible. Yes, like a dull, lifeless grey rock, unremarkable and uninteresting. When they try to stir up drama, you respond with the most neutral, monotone reactions imaginable. Say things like, "Oh, I see," or "Got it." No emotions, no arguments, nothing for them to latch onto. They expect you to explode, cry, or dive into a heated debate. But instead, they're met with a calm, unshakable stone. Why does this work? Because toxic people feed off your emotional energy. When you react, you're giving them exactly what they want, fuel. But when you stay calm and refuse to engage, their excitement fizzles out. Without drama to latch onto, they're left empty-handed. Over time, they'll either adjust their behavior because they're not getting the reaction they want, or they'll move on to someone else who will give them the chaos they crave. A friend of mine once used this method with a colleague who thrived on provocation. This colleague loved making snarky comments like, "You seem like you're still figuring things out here, huh?" Instead of snapping back or defending himself, my friend simply replied, "Maybe." No explanation, no confrontation. The result? The colleague quickly lost interest and moved on to someone else who was more responsive to her tactics. The grey rock method doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It's about protecting your peace by refusing to play their game. When you don't give them access to your emotions, you're taking control. Try this the next time someone tries to drag you into their toxic drama. You'll be amazed at how quickly the dynamic shifts. And best of all, you'll walk away with your peace of mind intact. Number 6, the broken record technique. Toxic people are like marathon runners of manipulation. They just don't quit. They won't accept no as an answer and will keep pushing and pressuring you until you're worn down and finally give in. Sound familiar? Maybe you've encountered a friend who always expects you to drop everything to help them, or a colleague who constantly dumps their workload on you, assuming you'll never say no. These people are like bulldozers. They keep moving forward, relentless, to force you into compliance. But this is where you can bring out one of the most effective tools in your arsenal, the broken record technique. It might sound simple, but it's incredibly powerful when dealing with people who refuse to respect your boundaries. Here's how it works. Instead of getting dragged into an argument or trying to explain yourself endlessly, you calmly repeat your stance over and over, like a broken record stuck on the same phrase. To this, a colleague named Mike asks you to take over part of his workload, something that's clearly his responsibility. You respond calmly, "I can't take that on. I have too much on my plate." When Mike persists, saying, "But you're so much faster at this," or "I'm really struggling here," you stick to your response. "I can't take that on." No added reasons, no emotions, just a steady, neutral reply. The beauty of this technique lies in its consistency. Toxic people expect you to falter, lose patience, or cave in eventually. But when you keep giving the same calm, unwavering response, they quickly realize they can't bulldoze through your boundaries. This not only reinforces your position, but also prevents the situation from escalating. Especially with someone like Mike. When they see they can't manipulate you into doing their bidding, they'll lose interest and likely move on to an easier target. Remember, your boundaries are non-negotiable. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're saying no, and you certainly don't need to feel guilty for putting your peace of mind first. The broken record technique isn't just a way to handle manipulation. It's a statement of self-worth and a strategy to protect your emotional well-being in all your relationships. Try it out, and you'll discover just how empowering consistency can be. Number 7, limit exposure to toxic people. One of the hardest truths we have to face is that not everyone we care about is actually good for us. Whether it's a childhood friend you've known forever or a family member you've always respected, some people only bring negativity and leave you drained every time you're around them. Toxic people are like emotional vacuums, sucking out your energy, kindness, and attention to fill the emptiness within themselves. But here's the key. You don't owe them anything. Not your time, not your emotional energy, and definitely not your mental health. I get it. Putting distance between yourself and someone you're close to can feel like a betrayal, especially if it's a longtime friend, a family member, or even your partner. But think about it. How much is your peace and mental well-being worth? If someone consistently makes you feel small, stressed, or emotionally exhausted, it's time to set clear boundaries. This doesn't mean you don't care about them. It means you care enough about yourself to protect your inner balance. Picture this. You have a colleague named Linda who constantly undermines you. Every time you share a great idea or achieve something, she finds a way to criticize or make you feel inadequate. Instead of arguing or trying to win her approval, limit your interactions with her strictly to work-related matters. Don't let Linda drain your valuable energy. Or maybe you have a friend named Jack who always turns to you for emotional support, but is nowhere to be found when you need him. You don't need to cut him off completely, but you can keep conversations light and avoid diving into topics that you know will leave you feeling depleted. Limiting exposure can take many forms. Maybe it means seeing them less often, keeping conversations brief, or steering clear of sensitive topics that trigger toxic behavior. If it's family, it might mean setting specific times and circumstances for interactions. With friends, it could mean learning to say no confidently without feeling guilty. Your mental health isn't an unlimited resource for someone else to drain at will. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's self-love. And if someone doesn't respect the boundaries you set, they are exactly why you need those boundaries in the first place. You deserve relationships that uplift you, not ones that leave you exhausted to the core. Number 8. Build your support system. One of the most insidious tactics toxic people use is isolating you from others, much like a wolf luring its prey away from the pack. They subtly manipulate you, making you believe they're the only person you can rely on. Lines like, "No one understands you like I do," or "I just want what's best for you, unlike those others," slowly pull you away from your friends, family, and even yourself. Over time, you find yourself more dependent on them, while they quietly trap you in their web of control. Here's the good news. You don't have to face this alone. The key to breaking free from their grip is to build a strong support system. Imagine having a group of people who are always in your corner, who never make you feel like you have to sacrifice your peace to keep the peace. These people become your fortress, shielding you from negativity and helping you reclaim your emotional strength. Start by identifying those who genuinely care about you. This could be family, longtime friends, or even new connections within a like-minded community. What sets them apart? They respect your boundaries, encourage your growth, and stand by you through both your highs and lows. They don't shy away from giving you honest advice, but it's always with the intent of building you up, not tearing you down. For example, think of a close friend like Sarah, who not only listens when you need to vent, but also helps you see the situation from a different perspective. Sarah won't make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. Instead, she'll say, "You're absolutely right. You need to stand firm on this." People like Sarah don't just offer support, they reinforce your confidence in yourself. When you have a reliable support system, toxic individuals lose their power. Why? Because you're no longer alone. You have people who help you recognize your worth and pull you out of the darkness when needed. They weaken the isolating grip of the toxic person, rendering their manipulative tactics ineffective. Remember, a solid support system doesn't just help you combat negativity. It also serves as a source of strength for your personal growth. The positive people in your life aren't just shields. They're motivators who help you push through any challenge. So, surround yourself with those who uplift you and let their positivity fuel your resilience and determination. Number 9, prioritize self-care. Toxic people are like emotional hurricanes, constantly draining your energy, confidence, and even your patience. They're emotional vacuums, sucking the life out of you and leaving you feeling empty and exhausted. This is why self-care isn't just a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. Think of self-care as an emotional armor, protecting you from the corrosive effects of toxic relationships. Without it, you're left vulnerable to burnout, resentment, and emotional fatigue. But self-care isn't just about indulgent moments like spa days or sipping tea in serene silence, though those can certainly help. True self-care is about making intentional choices that safeguard your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. It's about knowing when to say no without guilt. It's about carving out space for yourself to recharge, reflect, and realign with what serves you. Most importantly, it's about recognizing that your needs are just as important, if not more so, than anyone else's. Remember this hard truth. Toxic people will never prioritize your needs. They'll expect you to put them first, to sacrifice your time, energy, and well-being for their benefit. But here's the key. You don't have to. You have every right to prioritize yourself, to protect your mental health, and to refuse to let their negativity drain you. Self-care might mean taking a break from social interactions, practicing mindfulness or meditation, or engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. It could also mean stepping back when a toxic person pushes you to your limit, and that's perfectly okay. Taking a step back, creating space, and focusing on your own healing is an act of courage, not selfishness. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of maintaining inner peace, and self-care is the foundation of that peace. When you prioritize your happiness and well-being, toxic people lose their hold over you because you're no longer dependent on their approval or validation. Self-care isn't just about loving yourself, it's a powerful step toward reclaiming control of your life. Number 10, recognize you cannot fix everyone. One of the hardest truths to accept when dealing with toxic people is that you can't fix them, no matter how much you love them or how hard you try. You can spend hours analyzing their behavior, lose countless nights overthinking their actions. But here's the reality. They don't want to be fixed, and it's not your responsibility to do so. Toxic people often get stuck in patterns of manipulation, blame, and control because it serves their needs. It could be their desire to feel superior, their craving for emotional validation, or even just a distorted sense of power they get from controlling others. Have you ever tried to help a friend or partner work through their issues, only to realize that no matter what you do, they repeat the same destructive behaviors? Maybe it's that coworker who constantly complains about how everything is wrong in their life, despite all your advice and encouragement. Or perhaps it's an ex who made you feel like no matter how much effort you put into the relationship, it was never enough. This is how toxic people trap you in a cycle of guilt and obligation. The harder you try to fix them, the deeper you get pulled into their web of manipulation. Remember, you're not their savior. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control, and the truth is, you can't control or change anyone else. The only thing you can control is how you respond and where you set your boundaries. When you stop trying to fix them and start protecting your own emotional energy, you'll finally experience freedom. You deserve relationships where your efforts are valued and reciprocated, not ones where you constantly feel like you're not enough. The moment you let go of the idea that you need to fix them is the moment you break free from their hold. The truth is, your mission isn't to repair broken people. It's to heal yourself and invest in relationships that build you up, not drain you. Number 11, use cognitive reframing. This is where the real mental shift happens. power of reframing how you perceive toxic situations. Toxic people have an uncanny ability to cast you as the villain in their narratives. They distort reality, manipulate the truth, and make you feel as if everything is your fault. But here's the truth. It's never about you. It's always about them. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we can't control other people's behavior, we can absolutely control how we perceive the world around us. And that's where cognitive reframing becomes your strongest tool. Imagine you're dealing with a long-time friend, Emily, who often criticizes your personal decisions. Let's say you've decided to change jobs or move to a new city, and instead of supporting you, Emily comments, "I'm not sure you're really cut out for that," or "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Rather than internalizing her criticism and letting it discourage you, reframe the situation. Emily's remarks aren't a reflection of your abilities or reality. They're a projection of her own fear of change or insecurity about things she hasn't dared to pursue in her own life. By shifting your perspective, you not only take away her power to hurt you, but also gain clarity about her internal struggles. Think about how often toxic people engage in gaslighting, making you doubt yourself or your reality. They don't do it because they truly understand you. They do it to mask their own fears. Cognitive reframing allows you to step back and recognize, wait a minute, this isn't about me. This is their issue. When you stop internalizing their negativity and start seeing it as a reflection of their own shortcomings, you reclaim your emotional strength. Try this the next time someone lashes out or behaves negatively toward you. Pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this really about me, or are they just projecting their internal struggles? 9 times out of 10, the answer will be the latter. Once you stop personalizing their actions, you'll find it much easier to maintain your emotional composure amidst their drama. Cognitive reframing isn't just a mental shift. It's a game changer, empowering you to protect your peace and live with greater resilience. Number 12, practice forgiveness for your own peace. Forgiveness might seem like a foreign concept when dealing with toxic people, but hear me out. Forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from emotional baggage. Forgiving someone doesn't mean excusing their behavior or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It means choosing to let go of the resentment and anger that are holding you captive in a cycle of negativity. Think about it. While you're fuming over the wrongs they've done, they've probably moved on with their lives. So who's really suffering here? It's you. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that forgiveness isn't for others, it's for your own inner peace. Forgiveness means choosing to no longer let their actions control your mood, your happiness, or your life. It's about reclaiming your power. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's strength. It's a declaration that you won't let past wounds dictate your present or future. Start small. Instead of trying to jump straight into forgiving someone for a major betrayal, practice letting go of minor irritations. For instance, forgive the person who interrupted you in a meeting or the colleague with a negative attitude. Each time you choose forgiveness, you'll feel a little lighter, as if a chain is being lifted. Over time, this builds emotional resilience, preparing you to forgive even the bigger offenses. Remember, forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. When you let go of resentment, you create mental space for peace, joy, and personal growth. Don't let toxic people continue to live rent-free in your mind. Evict them from your mental space starting today. Forgiveness isn't a gift you give others. It's a gift you give yourself. Number 13, when to walk away. Here's the final and arguably most powerful point. There comes a point where you need to walk away. It doesn't matter how long you've known someone or how much history you share. When someone continually hurts you, violates your boundaries, or drains your emotional energy, choosing to walk away isn't a failure. It's your greatest victory. It's the ultimate declaration of self-respect. Toxic people will often try to make you feel guilty, as if you're the problem, as if leaving means you're selfish or giving up too soon. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for their happiness, and you don't owe anyone the sacrifice of your mental and emotional well-being. Imagine you're in a toxic friendship. Your so-called friend constantly takes advantage of you, belittles you in front of others, and leaves you feeling unworthy. You've tried to talk things out, you've sacrificed your time and emotions to make it work, but nothing changes. No amount of effort on your part can fix their behavior. Choosing to walk away isn't turning your back on them, it's turning back toward yourself. Yes, there will be sadness, and yes, there will be fear of change. But the peace of mind you'll gain and the space you'll create for healthier relationships will be worth it. Walking away is an act of courage. It's you saying to yourself, I deserve better. It's about protecting yourself from a toxic environment, because healing doesn't happen where you're constantly hurt. Not every relationship can or should be saved, and that's okay. When you decide to leave, you're opening the door to new opportunities, genuine relationships, and more positive experiences. Ultimately, walking away isn't a sign of failure. It's a quiet but powerful form of triumph. It's the act of declaring that, from this moment on, you will prioritize your peace and happiness. Toxic people will no longer have power over your life, and you will regain the control to live a more meaningful and fulfilling life. So if you're wondering whether it's time to walk away, remember, it's not giving up, it's freedom. I would love to hear about your experiences. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment below to share your stories, successes, and even the challenges you've overcome. If you're unsure what to comment, just write, I beat them, to show that you've completed this lesson. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, or anyone you think might find value in this content. Your engagement and sharing help this community grow in wisdom and in mastering the art of turning challenges into opportunities. I'll leave 2 more videos here for you to continue learning and growing on your self-development journey. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you are new here, please like the video and subscribe. Statistics show that only 15% of my audience is subscribed to the channel, so if this content has helped you in any way, I ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell.